need to understand that there is a process going on now that is being accelerated because of the effects of global climate change. Yeah, what's all right. I mean, someday when you could pass a test on what I'm talking about, you can come up and get up here. You know, the bottom line is that there's very dramatic things that are in the offing right now. One of which is that the fact is that there's a major call now for coming to grips with the philosophical and theological implications of contact with an extraterrestrial civilization that's now been issued formally. It's a call for people to participate in that discussion.
By the Vatican.
By the Vatican. And the fact of the matter is that the process of discovering these planets and acknowledging that life is existing on these planets is the process by means of which they're going to try to feather in an acknowledgement of the fact that it's true. What we have to do is take control of the discussion about what the philosophical, theological, and political, importantly, the political implications are of coming to recognize that these people are not in charge. That we have to withdraw our consent to their governing us. That the fact is, this is a form of slavery that depends upon our consent and our active participation in that process. So what we have to do is figure out how to come out from under this slavery. That's what we have to do, not wait for them to free us, not wait for the major media to change their mind, not to wait for the Pentagon to change its mind. We have to change our minds, and we have to help other citizens around the world change their mind about all of these things. Okay. This is a question of structural justice, and we have to respond to it.
And when you change your mind, you change your state of being. When you change your state of being, that's when you move into the field of infinite probability, and that's where it all happens, and that's where choices are made, right there.
Really, I mean, I know what Richard said is true, that, 1% of the population owns, 50% of the wealth.
The top 80 people.
Right. So how
80 people.
I mean, yes, we can, put our intentions out there, but how do we change that sort of economics around?
Well, no.
Emoto did water.
No.
Right? I mean, come on, really? Are you familiar with what Emoto did with the minds of people?
Yeah.
Right? Don't we have that choice?
Look, when you say that they own what they own is 80% of the wealth.
Right.
The fact is that over 80% of the wealth doesn't mean shit. It's just fabricated paper money.
All right.
Their financial wealth is predicated upon a mythology, and only if you believe in the mythology do they in fact own 80% of all the property.
Do you agree with that, Richard?
They don't.
No, I do agree with it. I mean, they got it on this kind of mythically created system of fractional reserve banking, which I think many of us are familiar with, and Michael talks about a lot. And but that money that they have that has allowed them to control land. It's allowed them to control physical wealth in terms of resources that are important to all of us. So I'm just saying it's an important thing to deal with. And
let me say, for example, when they say that the bank owns your house, because you have a mortgage that you owe to them, you've already paid the bank twice as much as your house was worth, and you still owe the principal because all you've been paying.
It's a system of thievery. I think we can all agree.
Still take your house away.
All I'm saying is that you don't have to say they own my house. I own my house. Fuck you, trying to come and take my house.
Well, Dan, I mean, that sounds great, but say that to the bank and deal with the police coming to your door.
The point is, they can't send police to everybody's door. This is. Right. I was in this situation.
All should stop paying.
He's
a lawyer too, so it's okay.
I was in this situation when everyone was saying, "Oh, what about resisting the draft?" I can't resist the draft because they're going to come and arrest me and say, "Fuck you, coming to arrest me." Come and arrest everybody.
No, totally.
Everybody
mass movement is essential.
Everybody refuses to go to the draft, and they don't know what to do. So Nixon cowers inside the White House. What I'm saying to you is that if you refuse to grant them their own created mythology, they have no power over you.
So it is a revolution, Stanton.
They don't have enough police. They don't have enough police. They don't have enough people to.
This is a revolution.
They can't file enough lawsuits to put the burden of going forward on them, not the burden of forward on us.
You see what you did, Stanton?
This is a new Dan Sheehan.
So we do have a choice.
I spend my whole life doing this. I mean, I represent people who do this.
Wait, Michael, sorry.
without realizing it, Danny has just put his foot and his heart right into the heart of the Ubuntu movement.
Okay.
And this is what we do. Exactly that. This is why it is growing like wildfire. We have members in more than 215 countries around the world. I cannot control it. It is this kind of knowledge and information that we share with the people in South Africa and other countries, and starting with the banking. Because it is with understanding and explaining to people the simple crimes that are committed by the banking families against each and every one of us.
Right.
And you're quite right. You can say, fuck you, this is my house. But unfortunately, they still have the men with guns that they can send to your house. They can't send it to everybody's house.
That's right.
But it's part of the process of educating and informing people about this knowledge and information. It makes them lose their fear. It gives them a sense of understanding what's going on. That's self-empowerment.
Yeah.
And self-empowerment is a very powerful thing that everybody needs to experience. And with that understanding, then people know what we can do about this situation, how to get out of it. And this is where we bring in the political front becomes a very critical and important alternative.
That's absolutely right.
To anything else out there.
That's right.
And
there needs to be a political movement. There's no doubt about it. And what it's just like is it's like having one man with one bullet in his gun hold 100 people hostage, and everybody's sitting there going, "Oh shit, I don't want him to shoot me," and all you have to do is say, "Well, he can't shoot all of us," and what you do is you just take him down, But the fact is, you have to be willing to put yourself on the line. You have to be willing to do it, and that's why they have lawyers to defend people like that.
All right, well, thank you, Danny.
I have an observation. I'm just listening to everything and hearing everyone, and it's fascinating to me to see how this subject.
Like this subject
this subject.
Go ahead,
fire.
Go ahead, Richard.
Well, I just think it's fascinating how this subject, which is really on beyond the fringe of what is respectable in the establishment culture, let's just say, really can radicalize all of us. And I mean, I just think it's an amazing thing because we're delving into a reality that is not accepted by the power structure, which does control the establishment media, the propaganda system that seeks to control us. And I really think it's true. Like the longer we are in this mindset, and we can't help but come. And when I say radicalized, radical I think is derived from the Latin. It means to get to the root of. To be a true radical, you're getting to the root of. That's really I think what we're doing, and it has put us in. I don't even think we're trying, but we're in undeniable opposition to the established system.
Well,
I don't think we can help it.
Do you think this is what the ETs could be waiting for us to get ourselves together, to take back our power?
That's exactly what they are waiting for.
Yeah, for us
They're
to
waiting
have...
for this movement of this explosion of consciousness, because you can't interact with an unconscious group of...
Right. And they're not going to do it for us.
beings.
They're not going to say, hey, we're here to help you out of the mess you created. We got to do... You're going to be our lawyer for the movement, Danny.
Well, I think that's exactly right. I mean, think about what could they have done like 100 years ago? Would they announce themselves? What would that have done to human civilization?
But
it
now
could have been a really traumatic thing, and you have to get to a point where people are ready for this type of a situation. So it really could be that we needed several generations for our own development.
So what kind of social movement do you think it? What's that? The Warriors of Light out there. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about organizing a social movement in a way Martin Luther King organized the Black movement. So how would that look?
Well, what the advantage is that all you have to do is stop cooperating. It's not a matter of you having to tear down mountains or you just stop cooperating. Don't cooperate with them. And I can tell you when you start to see certain groups that are in positions of traditional authority moving forward and calling upon people to do this, if in fact you see happen, what I'm suggesting to you is in the process of happening here. If you in this month we're right here just this month in June, it could happen as early as June 5th because that's Global Environmental Day. And if Francis decides to issue the encyclical on June 5th, it'll be right when we all basically come home to go back to our drudge jobs, right?
I mean, the Pope is going to incite a revolution.
He's going to issue the encyclical. Read the encyclical, and when he says that this is an inherently sinful economic system, that is rooted in greed and avarice and deception. And it has to be done away with, because this is threatening the entire global life of our planet.
Yeah.
And so we've got to do this. And people are going to say, holy shit, what does that mean? You know, what does that mean?
But to add to that, Danny, then the big question here is, what do we do from that point forward? And so you need a plan.
That's right.
And this is where we come in with Ubuntu. We have a plan that seems to be very simple, that seems to be touching the hearts of people, and this is why it resonates. And somebody here earlier said truth resonates, and that's exactly what this comes down to. So when you start sharing the truth about all this stuff with people, they not only see a way out of their desperate misery on a daily basis, and as I said earlier, I see it on a daily basis with people that live on the streets, people that live in shacks that can't afford a loaf of bread every day, and suddenly they see a way out. You can see the light in their eyes when they realize and they recognize where the real problem is. It lies in the money supply and the control of the banking elite of this entire planet. The moment we shut that down and find a new alternative, there is a way forward, and we have to have a plan, and we have a plan.
Well,
the simple way forward, what we've been sharing with the people, just a simple step forward, and this might not everybody might understand this, but with immediate effect, to stop the privately owned banks and replace them with what we call a people's bank. Is such a revolutionary, unimaginable shift and an immediate change in providing a lifeline for every living, breathing human being. It is, and it's so simple. It is such a simple thing to do. And in essence, this is what we do.
They did it at Mondragon. That whole thing, they just withdrew from both France and Spain because they were opposed to the fascist governments in Spain and France. So they just withdrew and they set up their entire own economy. And it can be done. I'm just telling you that. And the important thing is that when you have so many people, when you have 1.5 billion people in Western civilization that are all part of the Catholic Church, and this guy, not just any old pope, it's not like Ratzinger that nobody liked anyway, but I mean, but to have a person as popular as Francis is, and is doing the things that he's doing, to come forward and communicate, when he calls for asking to be able to address the jointly assembled Congress of the United States for the first time in history, and he's going to be talking to Congress in September. He's going to be talking to the United Nations, and he's holding this Damocles over their head that if you do not, in fact, agree to legally enforceable restrictions on your corporations with this issue of issuing forth global greenhouse gas emissions, the fact of the matter is I'm going to declare the Jubilee. I'm going to cancel these debts. I'm going to tell everybody they don't have to pay their debts. And they're going to say, gee, I wonder what people are going to do in response to that. They're going to do something.
Is there a history, is there a precedent where the Pope has called for a jubilee to eliminate debt?
No, it's a Hebrew tradition. It's an ancient Hebrew tradition out of the Bible that they were opposed to usury. It was a sin. They said that you cannot, in fact, allow a debt to last for more than 7 years. And at the end of the 7-year period, all of the rabbis would come forward if they determined that there was too much debt in the culture. They would declare a jubilee year, and they would completely cancel all the debt in their entire culture. So what I'm saying is he's calling upon an ancient tradition that goes deep into the Judeo-Christian culture, and he's calling it forth. And so we need to understand that there's some dramatic things that are happening, not just for their call in the same Jesuit order. I'm telling you, the same Jesuit order.
But how would it be applied in this global...
By people refusing to pay their debts.
Because the Pope says so.
Because the Pope says you don't have to.
You don't have to.
The nation states don't have to pay the International Monetary Fund. They don't have to pay the World Bank.
What about separation of state?
I've just seen through the veil of deception there. I think I've just figured it out.
Wait, before you get there, why don't we, this person in the audience has something to say about it all.
It would take Greece off the hook.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for allowing me to say something. I really appreciate what you do.
Bring it closer to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really appreciate what is going on here this weekend. It's very powerful, very important. It is going to make a major difference. But what I understand needs to happen is to have an umbrella vision, because nothing will happen unless there's a vision, a collective vision that covers all the elements of the liberation movement, because the liberation movement can cover every topic that we've covered since we've been here. So I see that a liberation movement, I'm part of Ubuntu or whatever, under the liberation movement, because that's what the public needs, a vision. Without a vision, things are not, we're all fractionized, working independently, unless we have an umbrella cover to work under.
Well, there's at least one liberation movement representative at this table.
But no, everyone here represents a liberation movement. Even
At
Stanton.
least one, yeah, at least one.
Are you still with us, Stanton? Yeah. No, because is it too much? Was it too much anarchy? No, because you represent a liberation movement, a liberation of truth. I just want to get you back into the picture.
I am not in a position to evaluate the potential impact of the actions of a pope on our planet. I have a great respect for this pope.
Yes, absolutely.
He has shown courage.
We all do.
But I think what this person said, as far as each of us, representing an aspect of a truth movement, is something that we need to confer and come together about. Yes, Don.
I truly think Danny may be onto something, and I can say that as a Roman Catholic.
Okay.
So, in the summer of 1947, immediately after Roswell, the Vatican put out a statement which read, "It is the position of the Church the universe is most likely teeming with other creations." Within the last few years, it reiterated that position. When Pope Francis himself was asked, what would the Church be inclined to do upon the arrival of an intelligence from off the planet? And the response was, we would baptize them.
I don't know
for
if that's
all
a
of
good
our
idea.
hopes, all of our concerns that the United States government is ever going to disclose something that it has worked harder on one topic than anything else its entire history to cover up. Maybe we should be approaching the Church.
But the Church has it's a good and bad approach. I don't think the aliens
But
want to be baptized.
We would be talking about 1.5 billion people.
Let me address the issue of baptism.
And aliens.
Okay.
That'd be much better for it, right?
The fact of the matter is that Father Fuentes, excuse me, hold on. Father Fuentes, who is the Jesuit director of the observatory, when this issue was raised to him that the Pope had made reference to, I would baptize the aliens, he actually went so far as to say, actually, the aliens may not be in need of baptism because the sin of our having fallen into the original sin is a function of the evolution of our intellect, of perceiving ourselves as separate and apart from all of the rest of the unity of the universe, and they may have already gone through that. And they may have already transcended that and be in union with the universe and may not be in need of baptism. So I'm telling you, this is a very sophisticated conversation that's going on right now.
Did the Pope actually say that? Did the Pope actually say that?
That was Father Fuentes. That was Father Jose Fuentes.
That's
And
remarkable.
who operates more observatories around the world than any other organization?
The Vatican.
And they're not watching for the second coming.
Yeah.
I just like to say, of course, I agree with everything that all of you are saying, but we have to take into the consideration that you're talking about 80 people that are running this world.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that most of the people in this world want to be part of that 80. And not only that, they want to be the richest people in the world. So the system is set up. When we as a people change, and we as a people start to change the way we think and stop being so greedy, and I'm talking about all of us, I'm not just talking about these 80 people, because I've been in business most of my life, and I've seen people who didn't have anything, and all of a sudden I noticed once they started to get something or they started to get rich, they changed completely into a whole different human being. So when the consciousness of this planet changes, everything will change.
Thank you.
Well, we need deep philosophy,
think
and that's what's called wisdom.
We're going to wrap up, but I don't think we need more religion. I think we need to baptize those 80 people, and the rest of us open up to cosmic consciousness, because awakening the new human brain, the new capacities, will put us in more direct connection with something beyond.
That is exactly what relegare is. Relegare, the Latin root of it, is to relink. To relink. That's what the whole process we're talking about is to taking our human family that is suffering from an affliction of the intellect, this capacity to perceive ourselves as separate and apart from the rest of the universe, and to transcend that through the process of relegare.
Right.
We're relinking back to
without,
the universe.
I mean, for me, without the religion part thrown in.
Let's
relink to the source, which is, and lift ourselves beyond what we have been.
That's exactly what the whole purpose of this is to salvage the substance of spirituality. Okay. That's what the key to this thing is.
Okay.
And one of the things that and I'll just put one more final point in. The fact is that Francis, knowing that people are going to say, well, might not they kill him?
Yeah.
You remember Bishop Romero in El Salvador, when he called upon, he called upon the Salvadorian troops to refuse to obey the orders of their commanding officers, ordering them to kill their sisters and brothers, the peasants. And they said, oh, if you make that kind of call, they will kill you. And he said, if they kill me, I will rise again in the names of my people. Mm-hmm. And that's what he's doing. He's rising in the voice of his people. And Francis has just declared him, he wants to make him a saint. Okay. Now all of that stuff is important, because what's getting ready to happen is Francis has said, you aren't going to be able to kill me because I'm going to retire. When I get this thing done, I'm going to retire. And what people don't realize is the guy that's going to take his place is Sean O'Malley, who is in fact going to be the first American Pope. Sean O'Malley is the guy that put all the pedophile priests into jail, rather than give them sanctifying grace or let them go to confession.
But Danny, don't you think it's the time to end religion? They've really
no. It's the time to substitute spirituality for religion.
We don't need religion if we have spirituality. We don't need the middleman to get in between us and the
Alan,
yes. Sure.
Take a break here, okay? I'm trying to tell you that I've spent my entire career not only confronting the Ku Klux Klan, the American Nazi Party, the off-the-shelf enterprise.
I respect what you do.
No. Yeah. What I'm telling you is then listen to me. Listen to your counsel. It's bad to have a mouthy client who doesn't listen to you.
I'm not your client.
What I'm saying to you is don't get confused by the nomenclature here. We're talking about genuine spirituality, which has to do with consciousness, which has to do with the entire subject we've been talking about all weekend. 3/4 of what we're talking about is consciousness, the elevation of consciousness, the freeing of ourselves from the slavery. The reality is that we now have a group of people in some of the highest institutions in the Jesuit order have basically arisen up to betray the old church.
Well, thank you.
They've risen up. In fact, there's a major book, I suggest it all to you. It's called The Jesuits, The Betrayal of the Roman Catholic Church, because they've now been declared to be the spearhead, the point of the spear of the social justice movement on the planet. And this is the first Jesuit Pope, and he's now moving to do exactly that. And I'm suggesting that people pay attention and get on board this thing and understand what's happening here, so that we don't despair, we don't give power to these people. And if in fact he steps forward and calls for the Jubilee year, then listen to it and declare a Jubilee year.
Okay, thank you. Linda, and then we'll wrap up, yes.
This is the best panel I have ever been on.
Longest anyway.
And what I am hearing and seeing is that for the first time, I'm with a group of people who are saying that the church, religion, spirit, and soul could substitute for the banks and the politicians.
Okay, I'm with you. Yes.
And that may be the leverage point that is needed.
Well, go ahead.
Just remember that
use the institutions. Use the institutions when you can use them. That's the key to this thing. Don't jettison everything. Don't throw out the baby with the bath.
And those institutions are crumbling slowly, and they will evolve into something bigger for all of us. Michael.
I was just going to remember that the biggest religion in the world today, undoubtedly, without any question, is money. Okay. Money is the biggest religion. You can't attack it. You can attack the Jews, the Catholics, the Muslims. You can attack anyone. But if you attack money, people go, "Are you crazy?" So this is.
Well, that's what Chuck was saying.
Exactly. So I deal with this every day. Every day.
So that's exactly what Francis said. He issued a major papal statement getting ready for this. It's called Evangelii Gaudium, and what he said is that religion and bankers have become the new religion. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And he said they've got to be disenthroned.
Yeah.
And
they are getting disenthroned
That's
very
exactly
quickly.
right.
Are you saying that Francis is trying to go beyond that greed, the money of religion, and get people back to spirituality?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
That's exactly
All right. I get it. Okay. All right.
The one, and this is where my analysis of the deviousness of the global cabal, or whatever you want to call them, those that control the men with guns. If you, whoever they may be, if the Pope declares the Jubilee and people stop paying their bonds and everything, you're creating a chaotic situation. I mean, it's going to be chaos. And this is exactly the kind of situation that the cabal is waiting for, so they can put some people into the field camps and start.
I can assure you.
I'm just throwing that.
No,
out
I can
there.
assure you, Michael. I not only understand that, I know where the bank accounts are of the places they've set up to put people. So I know what I'm talking about here. So what I'm saying is that's why, if it's done by an institution itself, when the call is made by an institution itself, it can help supply the stability that wouldn't otherwise be there. So it's not just open-ended chaos. What it is it's taking out another institution that has attempted to substitute itself for the religions of the world. And that's what's getting ready to happen.
Okay, but we're having a lot of fun. I know it's been, but we have one more question, and this panel was called New Beginnings, and I think we
I wanted to add to that quickly, because this is exactly what I'm dealing with in my workshop tomorrow.
Okay, we'll get to that, but let's ask one more question.
On behalf of everyone here, if I may, I just have to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart and my community to each and every one of you up there, including you, Stanton. I know you're not saying much. But this is so important, and from sitting back here, I see you guys speaking the same language, and I see you guys connecting very well together on this issue to bring it to that level you're talking about Ubuntu. Michael, we're from Vancouver. We're working with Russo up there. Trust me, I get it. And what you're saying, Daniel, I think is really, really important. We can't overlook or discredit one another. This is all so important, and as everybody has said here and intimated, the day that we stop worshiping money and valuing things instead of worshiping God and valuing each other, that's exactly what we're talking about. And that, you can call it a religion or whatever, but from my perspective, this is just changing that word to have a new definition. And the spirit in which we live, in which we give, in which we think, in which we connect, in which we breathe, in which we share, in which we create, that's the spirit I'm talking about.
Yeah, all right. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're all in agreement in a way, now that I understand the Pope's position. And thank you. So, I mean, I don't want to wrap up, but we don't have to end this weekend.
I need a whiskey.
He needs a whiskey.
Yeah, I'm with Tellinger.
But we'll all get a whiskey. It'll be like Woodstock. Let's just 3 days out here. But, if we're going to, really start something new, and you have a plan, Michael, why don't you just tell us, wrap it up on your end there and put your, piece of the puzzle out there so we can move forward in that direction.
Well, I'll start the wrapping up.
What's that? Yeah, share your plan.
I wish I could share my plan. It's a little bit longer than 60 seconds.
More than 60 seconds.
But really, this is exactly what I'm going to be dealing with in my workshop, the Ubuntu workshop tomorrow.
Give us a little bit.
Just to deal about what do we do into the future. Now that we know all this stuff, what do we do? And the first thing we need to do is recognize that money is the problem. And once we overcome that problem, we will create a planet and a world of abundance. Money is the obstacle, the hurdle to creating abundance. Money is the tool that creates hierarchy. It creates corporate structures that deals in the corporate structures that uses money to create scarcity and uses competition to create the scarcity. At the moment you remove money from the system and you work with cooperation among people and communities rather than competition, you create abundance beyond your wildest belief. The solutions are so simple, but we've been so programmed to not see the simple solutions. And this is really what I'm going to be talking about and dealing with, and what we're doing about it with the Ubuntu movement around the world. with the Ubuntu political parties around the world, which includes the United States and Canada, South Africa, UK, Australia, Germany, and about 50 other countries, and how we provide very simple solutions by allowing communities to start cooperating and no longer